Well, today I thought I would go for a walk in the forest and do some sketching as I went. And first thing I came across was this marker. I found out it's called a pheno marker. It's kind of a plastic block and you stake it. There's this great big thing, stake going in the middle. And I wrote, I've passed this place 100 times or more, but never have I stopped and really looked. It's a marker staked defiantly to the ground. Here ends the town. Beyond lies the forest. You are on your own. So off I went, and just very shortly afterwards I was startled by a buzzard flying off through the trees. And then I thought, I'll go up here and see what happens and see if I get a view from up here. And as I was climbing up, you probably can't work out what on earth this is. I climbed up to the top and a chill ran over me. It was kind of weird at the top that this kind of camp had been constructed. It's the most extraordinary thing. Here is a kind of a stone wall. So all around the stone, there's a quarry right next door to it. So there's a lot of stone available. And whoever's built it, I think it's kind of teenagers or something, but they made this beautiful camp. It's absolutely stunning. It's like a Stone Age masterpiece. If you've ever looked at a place like Skara Brae in Orkney, it's like that. And here is a kind of a building, anyway, these walls which are covered in trees and leaves as a sort of roof. It's not waterproof, it's not windproof, you couldn't live in there. And then out here is this kind of hearth where there's been a fire. And then this ring of stones, which are actually seats. And then these stones sticking up are kind of like the backs of the seats. And then these poles have been suspended across the whole thing. And the fire has kind of blackened them above. It's the most extraordinary thing. To a better kind of explanation, there's a kind of building kind of like that, which is kind of built into this kind of hillside as well. So this is all made out of stones just piled on top of each other like that, and then over the top are kind of bits of branch with leaves, so it's more shade than shelter. And then there's kind of like a fire pit, which is again that's made out of stones, and then the fire is kind of in the middle like that. And then we have this, I don't know how to explain it. So imagine these big flat rocks, kind of like that, something like that. And so those are the backs of chairs. And then there are other big rocks have been kind of placed around here to sit on. And then there are sort of piles of rocks behind here holding up the backs of the seats. It's the most extraordinary thing. And then these poles have been kind of arched up to the middle to hang over the fire. So I'm not going to tell you where it is because I think it's rather special. The chestnut flowers have been, like catkins, have been falling all over the place, and chestnut leaves as well are starting to fall, some of them. Or they could be last year's maybe, they're still hanging around. I had this phrase going around in my mind which I dreamed up 2-3 years ago called a summer's weight of leaves, and I kind of imagined up above us all these leaves waiting, the whole weight of these leaves which are all going to fall down. And that kept going around in my mind. And I saw some rowan berries, which are really, really bright red, orangey red. So I kind of drew them. And then there's a little place where there's lots of rocks, and there's always a little kind of collection of rocks kind of all piled up on top of each other, and the collection changes every time I go there. So somebody obviously comes and does it. And here are blackberries kind of brambling across the place. There are power cables going all the way through, sort of big power pylons, and is it danger of death, and barbed wire all around them. They look really quite evil, these power cable things. And I have written, should I be standing under the power lines while I'm drawing this? Good question. These are fabulous growths on a bit of dead log. And this is a really pretty fern I came across, very kind of wavy. And I want to kind of work on this and see if I can use that for flames or something. I don't know. And here's another log I saw with the beetles had obviously been boring out of it, because yeah, they don't bore in, do they? The eggs are laid in there and then they kind of bore their way out of it. And then I stopped to have some lunch. I sat on a bench, and this phrase, "the summer's weight of leaves," kept going round and round in my head. So I started drawing. Yes, I really do paint outside sitting on a bench. So I wrote "a summer's weight of leaves" there, and as I did, other words came to me. Quite often happens if you take your time writing something, other words come. So you go, "a summer's weight of leaves hang poised above my head, waiting for the fall, waiting for the call of gravity." So finally, about 2 years later, it looks like I've written a poem on that, with using that theme. And then I saw this beautiful beetle. He's a bit rounder than that, in fact. So, and he was busy burrowing. He was trying to. I think he got a bit of dung, and he was trying to burrow himself under leaves to get out of my way. And I sort of pushed him around a bit, kept lifting leaves off him to have a look. I didn't hurt him, and eventually, while I was drawing him, he crawled away, and I lost him. So, and then quite often you see things hanging in trees, and quite often they're kind of spiritual things. They're kind of prayer ribbons and things like that. But I think these were just markers for a dirt bike race or something like that. And I picked some leaves, and I came home and drew some more. This is the underneath of a fern. And these are the kind of spores underneath. What else have I got in here since I last showed you my sketchbook? These are just kind of drawings. This is watching Far From the Madding Crowd and kind of sketching little bits from that. Julie Christie's. I don't know. We went to London. There's the walkie-talkie and the kind of cranes and things like that. We went to see Neil Diamond at the O2. We were given free tickets. And so while we were waiting at the beginning, I drew the stage and the audience and everybody. So here's the stage, all the guitars lined up and the sound speakers and the lighting and everything like that. This is a building in London called the Cheese Grater. I was having my breakfast in a pub, but I didn't have very long. This is a plan for a Draw Stuff Real Easy video. I took my mum to the hospital. She didn't go to dermatology, but that was right across from where we were sitting. But this was a video I did for my Patreon followers, using sort of winged seeds to inspire drawings. And I was having a hangout with one of my Patreon people and talking about cats and drawing cats and things like that, and dogs. My daughter was on Skype, and she got herself a torch that goes around her head. She does conservation stuff, and she says, "Hey, I can see," and so I just did that for fun. And I was watching a programme on TV, BBC Life Stories, and I just kind of drawing bits as I went along. There's a little cuckoo pushing the egg out of the nest. I don't know why I drew that. I like to feel the wind in my whiskers. I think these were people drawing on TV. Watching TV. I don't know who they are. These are more kind of things from my Patreon page. You're missing out if you're not part of that. I saw somebody tweeted, and they showed a photograph from Pluto, from the the spaceship that's been there, and they had a little picture, and they were saying, "Look here, there's a building." And I said, "Never mind the building. That's not a building. What about these shapes here?" And they went, "Oh yeah, we didn't see that." These much more obvious shapes. There you are. It's the cactus. You've seen that. This is more sort of planning for my Patreon page. These were watching the TV. This is for my Patreon page again. This was watching a program about renal failure and kidney transplants and things, and I just started doodling and doodled. Eat more nuts. I think this was on a program called Trust Me, I'm a Doctor, I think. And then we went down to the south coast for the weekend for another wedding, and on the Sunday we went to Leamington I drew this little family who were sitting there with their little fishing lines over the side trying to catch crabs. We had lunch at the Ship Inn. This is their sort of wind vane up on the top. On the quayside, there was a little boy who was getting very excited because the crabs were having a fight. Crab fight, crab fight! I was very taken by this. They're putting speedboats into the water. It's a forklift truck that's been adapted. So it sort of comes along to the edge of the water and sort of drops the speedboat in the water. And it's a really fast way of getting boats in the water. It's amazing. And they store them, I think, kind of in a warehouse or something. And there was a dog on a boat in a bright red jacket. It might have been... a life jacket, I don't know. Do you get life jackets for dogs? I should think you probably do. He said, I might look an idiot, but at least I passed the health and safety laws. This is more of my Patreon things, chatting to people, telling them about shadows. This is watching a program called Humans. I don't know if you've seen that. Freddie's good. And he's a bit of a robot. And this is watching the Great British Bake Off. I don't know if you know that program, but it's a big favourite in our house. So here's a Madeira cake and a walnut cake and a Black Forest gatto. This is Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood. It's really difficult drawing these people because the camera only lingers on them for about 2-3 seconds at the most. And then this is another one. This is one of the bakers who was having a really bad day. And another one of the bakers. I haven't got into their names yet. And then we're watching Humans again afterwards. So I was sort of drawing these people, and that's. Again, I can't remember her name, the actress, but she doesn't look like that. But again, you never get... The camera never lingers on people long enough. You just think, oh yes, I'll just start drawing her. And the camera's moved and it's gone on to something else. So it's really a kind of a memory rather than a portrait. So it's kind of a mix of all sorts of things as I'm watching. So there we are. And we're back to the forest walk. And there we are. That's my sketchbook up to date. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, go and have a look at my wedding sketchbook, the last one that I did, or go and have a go at the mystery drawing. Make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner drawing channel for lots more drawing videos. And want to go join my art school on Patreon. Get all my courses for only £3 a month, and we can do assignments, do lots more. Go and check it out. In the meantime, keep drawing, sketching. And practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.